Go.
Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 16 of the VR Inside podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show that is live streamed every Saturday on Nathy's YouTube channel. You can tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in the UK, and 9 a.m. in Central US. Hello, if you missed the podcast for whatever reason, you can catch up with the whole show on my own YouTube channel, Virtual Reality Oasis. Or alternatively, you can check out the audio-only version, which is available on Google Play Music and on iTunes. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, chuck them in the chat, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. So I'm just going to go and introduce you to everyone in the room today. He is the Morpheus of VR. He really wants to show you how deep this rabbit hole goes, and that is Nathy.
That's right. You can go real deep, by the way, if you want to know.
Yeah.
So join me on the Zfenster. If you want to see how deep you can go into the Matrix, then you should subscribe to my channel. This is a plug for me, okay? I'm sorry.
Oh, that was nice. That was nice. So, unfortunately, the fastest YouTuber alive, he went too fast. And he needed to stop to take a break. So he is not here with us today. So unfortunately, Rowdy won't be with us, but hopefully he'll be back with us soon.
He will be missed.
He will be missed. But today, the captain at the helm of this fine vessel is ZimTalk5.
Hey, Mike, how we going?
Good, man. Just keep us steady, man. Just keep us steady. We'll keep this fine vessel sailing through the murky seas of the internet to bring you this fine podcast today. So last but not least, myself, the host of the show, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. I just want to sort of, first up, before I go into the topics, I just want to say I wish all of our viewers and listeners a very Merry Christmas, and I hope you're having an awesome festive time with your friends and family. Let us know in the chat what you guys are up to this week leading up to Christmas. Yeah. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Magic Leap 1, which is a new augmented reality headset that is coming next year. The tragic news that a man has sadly died in VR. And then also Arc Park VR has been delayed. And then we'll have some questions with you guys, our listeners and viewers. So let's jump into what we normally do nowadays, and that is to find out what you guys have been playing this week. I think it's a nice way to start the show. Let us know what you guys think as well. So let's start with Zim. What have you been up to this week, dude? What have you been playing?
I suppose really the main things I've been doing are playing playing a couple of really first-person shooters. So really playing kind of with my community in that. We've been playing kind of some BAM. There was a new map released, which is covered in fog and actually quite disappointing. But a lot of people are saying that it's like higher res graphics. You can drive a car now, which is pretty cool. And you can do so with one hand. You can skid it and drive it around. And actually, that is bloody good fun. But other than that, it's just been, like I was trying to play some Fallout yesterday. Trying a few new ways to kind of stream that as well. So, and getting ready for VR Mega Stream Week, which is next week.
How's the game, by the way? Like, have they been updating it, or
BAM?
How's it running for you? No, like Fallout.
No, the method I was using was a full screen capture, injecting directly into OBS, but it didn't perform as well as what I was doing before. So I'm going to take a step back. So I wouldn't say that the game has materially changed. Rather the change was on my end, in terms of what I was trying to do. And honestly, it wasn't running great in what I was trying to do last night. So I'll be going back to what I had been doing, which was working for me.
Yeah. And with BAM, did you say you've been playing the latest update with that? So that's updated graphics, right?
Yeah. They've set up. Some people have said on Reddit updated graphics. I didn't spot anything in particular, but I've got it running on low settings so that it runs like super smooth. Because if you're trying to take a shot off, it matters. But the new map is kind of cool. It's very, what would I say? It's almost like DayZ feel to it. There's a lot of barns and stuff like that, but it's super foggy, which is a really odd setting and actually gets kind of oppressive. But there's these like manors and things you can drop into the roof of, which is kind of neat. And then there's like busted floorboards and stuff you can drop through. So if you're a fan of Bullets and More or PUBG style gameplay, so Battleground style gameplay, then definitely try that one out. I still think that it's better than Standout at the moment. I think Standout needs a bit more time, and for 20 quid or whatever they're selling that for, it's a bit high of a price. So I'd say BAM right now, if you're looking at a game over Christmas, is probably the better of the two options.
It's interesting because PUBG in VR has become one of those things that everyone's scrambling to be the king of right now. So you've got Bullets and More, you've got Standout, and then I read somewhere, I can't remember the name of it, but there is another one coming as well.
A new one, something with virtual reality. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I forgot the name.
So obviously PUBG is like, you know, a behemoth in itself and is selling super well. So everyone wants to
virtual battlegrounds.
Virtual Battlegrounds, that's right. That's the one.
Anyway, so live. It won 1.0. Like PUBG is now 1.0 released.
Okay,
yeah, that's
nice.
true. With like so many copies sold, it's crazy. It wasn't even out yet.
Yeah, but it's better now than waiting, right? Because like you've seen so many games, Daisy, that still haven't come out like 3-4 years into the dev cycle, and when it lands, like nobody cares at that point,
Yeah. And it's the winter sale too on Steam, so people are like going crazy with their wallets.
Oh.
Yeah.
I am. I'm preparing to play to buy the rest of the DLC on Redout because you can get that. But I was like, there's no package that sells you all the different tracks that they have. So it's like 30 quid even on the sale price if you want all the tracks with it. So
wow,
dirty dollars.
Yeah. But also going back to obviously you've been playing with Fallout and you've been kind of tinkering with the settings to get it to run smoothly. That's kind of one of the things that really puts me off trying it. And the same, like last week I mentioned that I was going to jump into LA Noire and I just could not get that game to run nicely on the Rift. There was just really runs really badly on the platform. And in the end I just gave up and I was just like, do you know what? I don't want to waste any time with settings. I just want to jump into the game, fire it up, and play a game. I don't want to mess around with settings anymore. I'm kind of done with that. And especially for people that are new to VR, I think, especially as Fallout was kind of one of those titles that was bundled with the HTC Vive, kind of feel like it's going to be a bit of a frustrating experience for those people unless Bethesda patch it out so it runs smoothly straight out the box. Yeah, that kind of concerns me a little bit.
So LA Noire is not officially supported by the Rift, right?
So no, that's right. That is right. Yeah.
They are. I mean, you need to do something for it, but I agree. Like OpenVR is very important. Over here we also booted it up. I haven't played it myself. My brother played it. I did notice that it needs a very large play space. Otherwise, you can't play it because you need to walk to the middle in every scene you play, or at least you need to go back to the middle of the play area to keep on playing. So I'm not sure if you noticed that, but you need like a pretty large dedicated space, and there is no way you can get around that. Not right now. So if you don't have the space for it, there's no way you can.
It's probably the number one annoying game when it comes. So if we're talking about LA Noire, the fact that it brings you back to center, it puts up this placard in front of your face. It's like, please be back in the center of your space. And then it's like, oh, please be back in the center of your space. It's now time to drive a car. Oh, please be back in the center of your space. Now it's time to get out of the car and go to this other thing. So like the thing that I found, because I was doing it to try to immerse myself as much as possible, was I had a butt kicker strapped to my chair, which was in the middle of my room for the driving sequences, which was actually really, really good and nicely immersive, and actually to be able to feel like you're in a seat and, get the rumble off the road. But you change scenes so often, it like really interrupts the flow of the gameplay. And that's what Nathan's talking about. They keep kind of lassoing you and kind of pulling you in.
And that breaks the immersion, right? So,
but still, I mean, the fact you have hands and you can see your body and it places you at very tactical spots where you can do some shooting. I mean, it looked really nice. So it's kind of like trading in certain mechanics where Fallout doesn't have any arms and stuff, and it works in where the scenes are just, because in Fallout the scenes are free. You can walk around and there's no way you are stuck. It kind of acts funny because usually your character is at one spot, right? But with LA Noire, it's like, okay, I got the fact that I got hands and I can see myself and I can dress up. But then you don't really have the actual like scenes aligned correctly in VR. So one does it right in that sense.
Yeah.
It was clear that Rockstar wanted to just test out this whole thing. Like I think they were more curious about the mechanics, like shooting wise, because I think they are like, okay, next game we're just gonna build the whole scene thing in there right away from the start for VR instead of trying to like change it as it is right now. I think the game was kind of like not offering many. I think it would have taken a while before they got everything out there with the awkward scene thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt. I just was going to say, Mike, because you made the point about these games have just come out, right? We've had this, what I keep calling the Bethesda Barrier Reef, like bunch of games, and then of course Rockstar now releasing LA Noire as well. A lot of AAA titles, VRified, kind of converted for us, you know, the people who are desperately like ready for a taster of like the good stuff, right? And we can see that, and you can see it's like the road ahead. But what I think happened here, I think that games like Skyrim had enough padding, enough time, because they were going to be the first build to hit, and they're like, this has got to run right. And then some of these other projects that were behind them, I think that they got caught by the Christmas time period. You know what I mean? Like they got into crunch, they hit some hard barriers in development, and they had to make that decision. Do we wait 2-3 months to release, or do we release before the Christmas season when we know we're going to get some sales, but give them a decent package, but it's got some bugs in it, and we're going to tune that out over the next couple of months. So I don't think it's a bad executive decision. I think it's just, it's like a lot of PC game releases before the holidays. You know, they launched it when it wasn't quite ready.
Yeah, but for me, like I watched a video of a friend of the channel, Sweeviver. He was recommending settings on how to get Fallout to run smoothly. One of the suggestions was to reinstall Windows. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah.
So I was just
but
like...
I also saw comments where they said you didn't really have to, but... Okay, sorry, but that, like, if I had to say that, where I had to say, people, sorry, this game doesn't run well, you need to install Windows without any shame, I would say, like, okay, don't buy this game, refund.
Yeah,
You're not going to install Windows again, come on.
No.
Heck. But, I mean, I appreciate the fact he figured that out, but, like, hearing that says enough about the state of the game at this moment.
Yeah, exactly. So what about you, Nate? What have you been playing this week? What have you been up to?
Okay, so I played Shooty Fruity.
Okay,
good title.
Since the demo I played, it has been improved a lot, and it's very fun. Let's say it's one of the only new wave-based shooters out there that has reinvented itself with creative gameplay mechanics. So I like that one. Usually I would say, hey, wave-based shooter, don't even give it a try. This
one other to contribute to that, Nathan?
Progression system.
Just to add, because I think there's another one that compares, which I think you've played as well. Dick Wild, have you played that?
Yeah.
No, I haven't played that one,
oh,
but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but so yeah, Shooty Fruity is pretty good. It depends. I mean, if you're kind of done with shooters, I don't think this one is going to offer an extra thing. But if you want to give a new wave-based shooter a try with fun game modes and some progression in where you can buy new weapons and grenades, and they're like all like sci-fi weapons with like funny things in there, and the animations are kind of cool. So yeah, Shooty Fruity is basically a game where you are working in a supermarket and there's like fruit attacking you all the time, and you need to shoot them while multitasking to like scanning products or putting food in a tray, stuff like that. So it's a fun game. I also played VR Chat, of course. I also checked out Big Screen. They have something really awesome coming. And I also played the Justice League VR game. I know I'm pretty late to the party here. I wanted to give it a try. It's funny, I did play it a few weeks ago because you know what it is? I think that the game, it's very arcadey. It's like you're playing a mobile VR game on PC, and it's not very good. If it was a free experience because you need to pay for this movie-based experience, then it would have been fine. But since you need to pay a fairly high price for it, I had to judge it in a different way. But there is one thing I do need to say about this. So you got 6 simulations you can play in Justice League VR. You can be Batman, the Flash, Cyborg, etc. So the Wonder Woman one is it's really cool actually. And I can see an actual superhero game coming where we got nice locomotion. It's like a sword fighting game, you know, with like a story. So I would love to see that, you know, where we got sword fighting mechanics, like really decent ones, and then with a DC superhero story combined, you know. So I got kind of excited. I see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
So,
but then again, last week you did say that you wanted to live on the Amazonian island with all the ladies. So maybe that's why you like that one so much.
Okay, yeah, maybe. And there was one thing that surprised me a lot. So there's also a Batman simulation, and you drive around in the Batmobile. And according to your butler, he built a Batmobile where you can stand in. Okay, well, that's something very interesting.
Yeah.
But that's not the worst thing. So when you drive the Batmobile, there is no positional tracking.
No.
The HUD of the Batmobile is glued onto your face.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Oh, I
2017.
hate that.
You know, it's like going back to the DK1 days where my head was like stuck on a stick and I couldn't move around. So I was like, boy, oh boy, you kind of screwed up with this one. It could be the budget. It could be that they are kind of unexperienced with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like no positional tracking is a don't. It's a
no,
don't.
Definitely.
New people are going to try this. So.
Yeah, the Justice League experience is one that I kind of roasted on the channel a little bit. And I think as well, you're right, it should have been a free experience to hype up the movie. But it was like $10 and I was just like straight up, just couldn't recommend it to pick up. And, you know, you're better off spending that money to go and see the movie.
That's it. Like for a free experience, it's okay. And instead of letting people pay for this experience, let them pay for a movie ticket. Exactly. And then go. Because in the end, you want to hype people up for free, right? With movies. That's what you usually see with Coco, VR, and Blade Runner. But with this one, it's like, okay, you got to pay for this, then have a shitty experience, basically, because it's not that great. You put the expectations higher than they should be. If it was free, people would be like, okay, well, you know, not that bad. But since it is like a paid thing, the expectations are a lot higher. So I think the effect of this whole movie-based thing is not advertising the movie. It actually gives people a negative impression, maybe. I can be a clumsy hero and then mess around.
I got some lovely news from the homeland related on this advertising front, which has been making headlines. KFC have released what is touted to be a training game for their employees when it fucking isn't. And they've put this out there. Now, I don't know if on a moral ground I should play this or not, because I kind of don't want to fall into their trap. Have you done it, Mike?
Yes. So I was super intrigued because I heard about it. And I thought, well, you know, I've got some time before the stream. I'll check it out. And it is only 10 minutes. It is obviously free to check out. It's kind of weird because Colonel Sanders is actually really creepy in it. It kind of verges on like being in a Saw movie. And I was like, whoa, this is actually pretty scary. And then it obviously turns out to be more of like a sales pitch, a kind of advertising platform for KFC, right? And you essentially make some fried chicken. That's kind of what it boils down to.
So do you need to buy this experience?
No, it's free.
And how long does it take to finish?
Like less than 10 minutes.
Oh, less than 10 minutes.
Less than 10 minutes, yeah.
So how does it like look? I mean, usually with these experiences, they are very polished. Like they're...
Yeah, it is very polished. And just to give a bit of a spoiler away at the beginning, you're actually wearing someone's put like a bag over your head or like a net over your head, and you wake up and you're looking around and you think, oh my God, like what is going on here? I'm going to get tortured or something. Someone pulls the hood off, and then you're in this room with Colonel Sanders, who sounds super creepy, and he's got like his like photos up and stuff in the room, and then it teaches you basically how to make fried chicken from there. So it's a bit weird. You know, it's kind of fun for like 5 minutes, but like I would give it a miss. You know, if time is precious, give it a miss. Just try something else.
Have you guys done the IKEA simulations? Because they've actually had two. They had a pancake kitchen and one which was just like an apartment complex. Have you guys done those?
Pancake kitchen?
No.
I did play the one where you need to put like furniture together.
Wow.
You're talking about there's like an IKEA builder game which was called.
Yeah. It was very hard to play.
I'll find the name. I'll find the name.
Complicated.
Yeah. So other than that, like this week, I went and saw The Last Jedi at the cinema. I won't give any spoilers away. I also played Merry Snowballs, which is a fun Christmas game for the whole family to check out. You can basically throw snowballs at stupid kids that are running about the neighborhood. So if you like, the thing is, they're really annoying. They make that kind of noise like that kid from The Simpsons. They go, hee hee, like that. And you're like, oh, I want to just smash a snowball in his face. So that's kind of fun. And obviously, if you get your headset for Christmas and you want to get grandma in there to let off some frustration on some young kids, and that might be a fun thing to watch. I also checked out Attack of the Bugs, and that was on your recommendation, Zim. I actually didn't rate it as highly as you did. I thought it was kind of like very middle of the road. I thought it was okay. But like you said, when you accidentally lasso a box, so just to kind of describe it, you have this like lasso hook that you can use to reel in boxes to gather your supplies and your troops, and they're kind of scattered in the room. So when you lasso something, it will hook onto anything that's in its path. So if there is a spider in its path, it will kind of drag the spider towards your face. And no word of a lie, when that actually happens and the spider is right next to your face, that is actually terrifying.
You feel like it's there.
Yeah, like I hate spiders. I hate spiders. And I'd never even heard of the assassin bug, but that thing has given me nightmares since this game. So, if you want to know what assassin bug is, apparently like it kills bugs and then puts it on its back as like a little shell. It's super weird. So I checked that out. And I also checked out a really old experience, which is called Richie's Plank Experience. Oh, yeah. It was kind of like one of the first experiences on the Vive, right? But I'd never tried it before. But the interesting thing is, like, I really don't like heights either. So I thought I was going to kind of react strongly to this. But then I kind of got to the top floor, because in this experience, you go up in a lift, basically, top of a really high building, and then you can walk out on a plank and look at the streets and the cars and everything moving below. So it's pretty creepy looking from the video. But I was actually, when I first tried the Rift Dream Deck experience, where you're up really high, I don't know if you remember that one, kind of looks like Gotham City you're overlooking.
Yes.
I actually felt it really badly then. But
isn't that the one that's in Oculus Home now as an environment?
Yeah, exactly. The same one. Yeah, the Vertigo. Yeah. Oh, So when I tried this, I thought I'd react to it, but I'm completely desensitized to it now. So I don't know whether like it was the experience, or maybe I've kind of cured my virtual. You
just build a plank in your room, like really high up, and then jump off it,
and then try it. Yeah, then that would be scary. But maybe I'm cured. Yeah. Maybe I'm cured.
So anyway, and we do have some like cool comments here. First of all, a lot of people appreciate your new reviews, Zim Talk. Welcome to YouTube, my friend.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys. I'm not watching chat at the moment. I'm running the ship, so I don't have enough windows.
Carlo is saying that Vanishing Realms is also a fun game to buy at this moment. It has like a free locomotion. I mean, it has a good story too. It's kind of creepy, but if you like a simulator where you walk a lot and you enjoy your environment, it's really nice. We also got Rowdy saying nice hat, Zim. And someone was also asking me if the chat works, and yes, it works. I just proved that it works.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so that's it. And someone said like, why are there funny goggles on the thumbnail? Well, we will talk about that soon.
In a moment.
Yes. Well, nice segue. Kind of leads me on nicely to what we'll talk about right now, I guess. We've finished talking about what we've done this week, so let's move on to our first.
Mario Odyssey looking goggles all about, Mike?
Yeah, so this is the Magic Leap 1. So this is an augmented reality headset. Magic Leap is a company that was started way back in 2011, actually, and they've been super secretive since then. The company has actually raised $1.9 billion in funding, which is absolutely insane. But they've obviously impressed a lot of high hitters, Google being one of those included, with their new technology. So this is essentially what they've been working on. This week, they unveiled the Magic Leap 1, which is an augmented reality headset. So this means, if you're not familiar with augmented reality, it overlays what you see in the real world with an augmented reality view, which could be like a gaming experience, a TV screen,
like some Tony Stark.
Exactly, right? You get to become Tom Cruise in Minority Report, moving stuff around, projected over your real world. Yeah. So the headset itself, it has a real-time computer vision processor built into it. It has a ton of sensors and external cameras. I think there's 8 in total that basically track the wearer and the world that you're actually in. Because what it does, it scans the environment that you're in and then maps that out. And then when you put stuff over your real world, it kind of fixes it in place and it remembers the layout of your room. So things don't get clipped into your furniture and things like that. It's very, very smart technology. It also has high-end speakers built into the temples of the device, a bit like how the Santa Cruz and the Oculus Go is going to work. You know, it channels the audio from the headset down through the straps to your ears. And
too, by the way, it also has like the audio built in on the sides.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
I was going to come to the HoloLens in a minute, actually, because you've had some hands-on experience with that. So it'll be interesting to see your perspective on this.
Yeah.
So the Magic Leap founder and CEO, Ronnie Abovitz, told Rolling Stone magazine that the headset incorporates eye tracking as well. So that's going to be very interesting technology. And I know Pimax have announced that, they're going to have a module eventually for their sort of 8K headset. But eye tracking is going to be an important feature, I think, in the future moving on. But it also reports that the headset will come in 2 different sizes. There'll be different pieces that you can customize in a way, different head pads, nose pieces, and temple pads to make sure you get the best comfort and fit. And then before they launch the Magic Leap 1, they're also going to be taking the user's glasses prescription so they can actually implement that straight into the headset as well. So all indications are pointing that this is going to be a very high-end premium device, which obviously means it's going to probably have a really high price tag. So we don't know any sort of exact shipping times. We know that it's going to be out in 2018, but no pricing has been announced just yet.
Yeah.
But in terms of the technology it uses, it places persistent digital objects on the physical environment around you, which is akin to blending animated overlays on the real world in a way that's hard to tell them apart. So if you place a virtual TV on the wall in your living room, when you put the headset off and then put it back on again, it will still remain in the place that you originally placed it. So that's kind of interesting. So if you put the headset on, you place a TV above your fireplace, for example, a virtual TV. You can watch TV with the headset on, and then when you take it off and you can move it around, because it's completely portable, by the way, you don't need a desktop, you're not tethered to a desktop. And if you bring it back to that room later on, a week later, when you put the headset back on, the TV will still be in the same place you left it, which is very smart. And this is the thing, like it uses digital light field technology, which generates digital light at different depths and blends them seamlessly with natural light to produce lifelike digital objects that coexist in the real world. So this is talking about not like a cute animated overlay. This is trying to make things look as real as possible when you put this thing on. And they're saying that this advanced technology allows our brain to naturally process digital objects the same way we do real world objects, making it comfortable for use in long periods of time as well. So this is pretty exciting stuff. And like I say, there's no desktop required. All the computing is done in a puck, which is you've got the headset and then a big cable comes out the back of the headset and goes to like a disc-shaped puck, which essentially is the computer that runs it. Yeah, it looks like that. It kind of clips to your belt in the same way that an old school Walkman would. And that's got your CPU in there and your GPU, and all the processing power is in that. But also the headset's got its own computer built into it as well, which has got some self-learning in it, which is, again, this is kind of like next level stuff we're talking about here.
So basically the battery is in the head, like the glasses or the headset itself, and then like the computer is in like the Walkman. And of course there's some computer technology in the headset too.
Yeah.
But there would be more space for more battery life then, because I mean the HoloLens has like only everything is in the headset and that's it. There's no like cable with like a whole thing next to that, you know?
Yeah, so it looks as though the battery is actually contained within the puck because they wanted to move as much weight off the headset as they possibly could to make it really comfortable.
So you can replace the battery then and then just put a new one in there maybe.
I don't know. It looks like, for me, from the design, it looks like it's probably going to be rechargeable. That kind of is the way I look at it, but I could be wrong. Like, they haven't finalized any details. They've just kind of shown off what they've, these kind of renders that they've made. But yeah, like the actual computer itself, the puck, they call it the light pack. And that kind of, like you say, sits on your belt. They also come with a controller, which is a 6 degrees of freedom motion controller. And that has a touchpad and force control and haptic feedback. So they're talking about using eye tracking, gestures, voice commands as well. They're saying they're going to be implemented in this headset. So it's going to be a very interesting device indeed. And they say that their first edition will be known as the Creator Edition and will be shipping in 2018. So yeah, what do you guys think about this one? Because, like, Nathan, you've had some hands-on experience with the HoloLens, and it'd just be interesting to see what you think, how this can move that kind of technology any further forward than what we've got right now.
I mean, like that's the thing I saw on when they announced it. Everyone was very excited, and we shoot, but it's like they only showed off like the headset. So we have only seen like the design in a way and how it kind of works. So I want to see how it like really works when someone has it in their hands and then can check it out. But I'm very excited for it. I do think it's going to be expensive.
Yes.
Less expensive than with the HoloLens, I guess, but still expensive. I think we're talking about like maybe 2-3K for like an AR headset. Could be cheaper too. I don't know. Like time moves fast, especially with technology.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money there with the pricing. You know, my guess coming out of it, I'll put my cards on the table, and that'll be, I reckon it'll be 3,000 coming out the back, because you got to remember
that the HoloLens was like around 6K when it came out.
Yeah, and because you're completely untethered from any PC, I think that's the big push, and the fact that they've had to make all this technology. You know, like none of this was this is like from the ground up built. Yeah. So nothing was kind of off the shelf. They had to make everything to make this thing work. So all the R&D, all the time and development they've put into this, I know they've had a lot of funding, but they're still going to have to recoup that. And this is the first product of its kind in a way that's going to do what they're doing. So I think it's going to come.
I'm very curious what the software is going to be that runs on it. Because with the HoloLens, it's like you're using Windows 10, so it's very familiar and it works really nicely together with your PC. You basically link your PC to your HoloLens, and then you can just do everything you do on your PC in your living room or in your toilet, whatever. I mean, I got Netflix in my toilet, so
next level, man. Nice. That's what we're talking about.
But I like design-wise, I think it looks really cool. You're like kind of Willy Wonka, but I don't know. It's not that bad, you know. People are all like, it looks funny and weird, and but it's a lot smaller. Like look at like this one compared to the HoloLens. I can grab it if you want. It's like a huge thing. But
definitely go and grab it. And I'll talk a bit more about like so they've actually partnered up with Lucasfilm and Industrial Light and Magic. So they've announced that they're going to bring Star Wars to this platform. So I don't know if Zim will show you guys the video of that, but essentially you've got R2-D2, C-3PO projected into your living room with your desk in front of you, and they're projecting a map of like a sort of an empire, sort of a stronghold with stormtroopers walking around. So it looks really interesting, and like I've never been one that's really been sold on the idea of AR before. Like nothing's really that excited me about it. That's why VR is kind of more interesting to me, because I like the fact that you can put it on and be completely immersed in a world. So just kind of being in my living room and projecting something over it isn't that interesting, but this technology is very exciting. The fact that this is kind of going to scan your room, and then you can kind of put these virtual objects around your room. So you could like just have a room of TVs, for example, and just have everything running different channels is very exciting.
I've got a couple of thoughts here. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, there were two announcements this week, both in the AR space, that I thought were really quite keen. So this one, which I think looks awesome. The fact it looks so like I'm Riddick now, you know, if I can put these goggles on and I'm a boss. But the thing that I found design-wise that I didn't like was the kind of the double cables coming down the back. That I thought was a little bit hokey, because I can think of, as a guy who likes his audio and I'm used to, you know, in-ear monitors and cabling stuff down the back of your shirt and all that kind of stuff. Two thick cables running down your back seems a bit odd to me. I'm sure it's needed, but I don't know, it looked a bit hokey with the puck and like where you'd position it, how the cables would pull, because that's the thing, when you move your head like this, how natural is it? Do you have a device that's actually going to hold the pressure off of your head so that you move your head freely and there's no push or pull in what you feel, experience on the headset? It'll be interesting. But the second piece of information, which I thought you'd find very interesting, Mike, is that, I don't know if you caught this, they AR-ified Pokemon Go, actually. So Pokemon Go now is proper AR. And then there's Nathan and his lovely headset.
Yeah, it's next level.
This doesn't work.
No,
so there's audio built in there, so you know.
So for the audio listeners, Nathan's wearing his Microsoft HoloLens.
That's right.
Yeah, but that is a computer built into the headset, isn't it, Nathan?
Yeah, so everything is in the headset.
Yeah, so essentially it's kind of like a Windows PC with the headset built into it, and then it has some experiences that you can try right now on the HoloLens. Some sort of very small little games, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Where like objects pop out of your wall, because it scans your environment in a similar way. So it knows the shape of your room, and then it can pop stuff out of your wall to look like a creature or an alien's coming out of the wall, which is kind of neat. So yeah, this kind of technology is going to be very interesting moving forward. But how do you find using the HoloLens? Is it something that you would wear every day, like to do your everyday computer?
If it takes the ingest or not. There'll be a pause. OBS just crashed on me. I'm not sure what happened there. So just an OBS EXE stopped working.
We are back. Sorry for that. We had some funny technical issues here. You know, maybe my
headset broke it.
Just pointed right into the soul of the streaming software. But I think it's very useful. You know, AI like in the next few years is going to be bigger and bigger. Yeah, the headsets are kind of like silly. You can still call them headsets, not really glasses, because they're pretty big. Like, would you call these glasses?
No,
yeah.
No. But I think the way that Magic Leap are announcing with this headset is that it's going to sort of replace your PC setup. So, you know, you won't need a PC with a couple of different monitors or that kind of thing. You just have this headset, and then you can have as many virtual monitors as you want. You know, the possibilities are endless in that sense. Yeah. So in that way, it's very exciting sort of shift in technology where we could be just wearing these things for work, wearing these things on the bus. Maybe, you never know. You know, it's just
I think
into the future. I think
it's great technology, isn't it? It's such a thing that's going to take us to the next step. But the thing that I saw on Reddit this week, this made me giggle, is it's like, Siri, bugger off. I'm working, you know, like someone coming up to you, like, you know, like look behind you, Siri's there, you know, waiting for you, waiting for instruction. Did you call me, Zim? You know, so that's kind of a funny thing.
But of course, we're going to have to wait till next year to hear more information about this. They're going to be shipping a creators edition out, obviously to developers and people that can use this thing in a creative way to bring applications and experiences to the platform for when it is consumer ready.
So they will decide who they send one, or will you be able to buy one?
Well, so you can actually register your interest as a creator right now. If you go to the Magic Leap One website, you can actually register as a creator. So as a game developer, for example, you can register and then maybe you'll get sent one. Whether you have to buy it or not, they haven't specified that. So they could be sending them out for free for devs. We just don't know yet.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's funny. Paradise DK said Nate is missing his X-Wing. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And someone also said, I see a lot of productivity value with AR, but not many gaming potential. And I think he's right about that. Of course, we will have some like funny Candy Crush 3D kind of games happening on maybe your table, but not like hardcore, not yet, at least, you know, because VR and AR are going to come together in the end. I mean, that's not a secret. So with this one as well, you can have like a complete screen in front of you. It's not like surrounding you yet. But yeah, so VR and AR are going to come together. But yeah, I don't know, AR-wise, playing video games, it's really funny, but it's also like, it doesn't really match with reality. Because I'm wearing it and it's like, oh, I need to collect mushrooms. And I'm walking outside, I'm like, oh, more mushrooms. And people are going to look at me like, what the heck is happening? I mean, if everyone has like those glasses and it's all like connected in a way, it makes sense. But right now I'm just going to walk around with this thing and I play a video game. You know, it's kind of
that's the thing. Like, I don't find it interesting to look at my living room and see Mario jumping around my living room. Yeah. I want to be Mario in a virtual world, immersed by the Mario world around me.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, that's the thing. That's the difference for me right now with AR and VR, is that it seems like VR is the only one that's really immersing me in a way and pulling me into those exciting worlds.
I also don't think you want to turn your real world outside into a video game. It's cool. I like it. But
dangerous.
That's actually a good point. You just said something that was very interesting, because imagine if you played a horror game and it was overlaid on your real world, and then you're going to have some like post-traumatic stress syndrome where you go into the bathroom again and remember that's when you got virtually murdered with your AR goggles on, maybe.
It's already happened though, right? Kids have been in the street like with their phone up, you know, like this, and they're like running away from like a virtual zombie that's coming at them, run into the path of a car and gotten killed. And I think this is a nice segue to the next section. But anyway, you got to be careful, you know, that this technology can, you know, run you into problems you didn't have before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will talk about the tragic news very, very shortly. I just want to mention one more thing, actually, because Oculus also had a patent filed back in 2016. This recently dropped in the news, which showed a concept of a future maybe design for a headset. So it wasn't just Magic Leap that had some information this week. Oculus had something as well. And essentially, it was a convertible type of headset that could be powered by either a PC or a phone. And this is something that I was interested in, and I mentioned at a recent event and said, this is kind of like the Nintendo Switch of VR. So the idea is that you could go home, plug your headset into your PC and play full sort of high-end PC experiences. But then when you're ready to go out and about on the road, you could just disconnect it from your PC and then you have a mobile experience on the go. So there was actually a patent registered for this by Oculus, which is very interesting indeed. But obviously we're talking, maybe they're future proofing. So maybe years later down the line, they can do something like this. But certainly I'm in love with my Nintendo Switch. It is one of my favorite consoles of recent years. I love the fact that I can take it on the go, and I love that I can get the high-end experience when I'm at home. But I also feel like I want that now for VR as well. So it's exciting to see that this patent has been registered by Oculus, but I think we're maybe a few years away from it. Would you guys be interested in something like that, do you think? Or are you just kind of one or the other?
I am keen to try any technology that comes out. Actually, I think there's going to be a real interesting. I think there's going to be a really interesting change here between VR and AR. But like you, Mike, I think the real thing for a gamer has to be the disappearing in a world. Like I was standing looking over Diamond City last night in Fallout and just thinking, when this looks good enough that it's convincing, and when this apartment behind me is mine, and this is filled with other players, feck it, this is it. This is Oasis to tag your name, Mike. Yeah. But I mean, it's kind of scary to think about it because to an extent people will, right now they're supplementing their existing life maybe, or have a little bit of escapism to drop out. But it's something that I thought about maybe 3-4 years ago, that, some articles and people were talking about this, like VR could be a negative influence to certain people, or you could get lost in it. Yeah. And I honestly think there will be people who get lost in it.
Well, I think there already is. Like, if you look at VR chat right now, we've mentioned it so many times on this show, but if you haven't checked out VR chat, just go and check it out. But people are losing themselves in there and going in there, choosing an avatar, or even spending time creating their own avatar to then sort of navigate around these virtual worlds and interact with other people. And I think that's so amazing. Like when I look at a VR chat right now, I think it's kind of like a real glimpse as to what the future could be like for us and the way we communicate and have fun with each other.
No, I said the same. Like it's pretty much the basic or the very like first version of the VR Oasis,
Yeah. No, it is.
You're right. Yeah,
it is. And just recently, they've hit the highest amount of concurrent users. I think it's now up to 3,000 concurrent users, which is incredible. So if you've got some free time over Christmas, just jump into VR chat. You'll have a blast, or at least you'll find something interesting. I can almost guarantee it. So yeah. But we'll move on anyway, and that is obviously to some sad news now. Unfortunately, there has been some news that a man has died in virtual reality. So this is a true story. It's a sad story, especially over the festive season where most of us will be spending time with our loved ones, friends and family. And obviously our thoughts go out to the family of this man who tragically died during this accident. Essentially, it was a guy in Russia. And this was reported by a news agency, TASS. They reported that a 44-year-old man from Moscow sadly died whilst wearing a virtual reality headset. So according to the preliminary information, whilst moving around his apartment in virtual reality headset, the man tripped over and crashed into a glass table. He suffered wounds and died on the spot from blood loss. So it's just tragic. But this seems to be like the first report of its kind that the first person died.
I mean, we knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, of course.
Like now I hear it for the first time where it actually happened. It's very sad though. It's also kind of a silly way to die, basically. And like we don't really know what happened exactly. Like this could be someone that is totally new to VR that didn't read like the actual like manual you get in the box, and they tell you what you should look out for. I mean, if you ever seen the Steam VR tutorial, you know that the little portal guy is pushing his couch away and everything out. Like it almost sounded like there was just a glass table in the middle of his play space or something. But yeah, even like you could trip. I mean, I could trip right now over my Christmas tree that is very close to my play space, and I fall onto the Christmas tree. I mean, there are so many dumb ways to die that but it's sad. It is. I didn't expect it to happen this way. I mean, I had my thoughts about it in a way as well.
Yeah, but also what I have seen is some of the media outlets have been totally scaremongering with this kind of news, you know, saying, oh, you know, it's dangerous and everything else. Like, I'm sure someone chokes on a lettuce leaf every day and dies, but, you know, we're not going to stop eating lettuce anytime soon. So that kind of annoys me in a way. Like, it was kind of bound to happen. Like, every technology and every new thing that comes out, there is always going to be a dark side to things. And they weren't clear with what headset he was using, but obviously we just kind of wanted to bring the story out, but to also help, you know, share experiences that we've had where we've hurt ourselves in VR or done something stupid, but also sort of give you some good sort of tips and tricks on how to make sure you're safe and your loved ones are safe using virtual reality, because I'm sure there's going to be a ton of new users this Christmas. I'm sure VR is really going to be up there on the Christmas wish list.
That's a really interesting point that you just made, Mike, about the headset. Because if someone just died in Google Cardboard, I'm going to be really that'd be a really interesting spin on this case. You know, because if you didn't have positional tracking, if you didn't have a boundary system, and that's what caused you to have the accident, then I think this is almost a write-off if we think about the current modern systems, because all three major headsets at the moment have a boundary system to help protect the user. And to be honest, most content creators either find them annoying or reduce them so that you're not like staring at this boundary the whole time. But if the default level of the boundaries is actually quite in your face, like I would find it, I mean, unless you're running at your wall full tilt, you know, I think it would be difficult to actually run into that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, we don't know what happened exactly. I just simply think he just tripped over his cable, or maybe something that was on the ground that he didn't clean up before he spent like time into VR, and then he fell out of his play space into a glass table. That's what I think. And I mean, I've done it before as well, where I had like trash in my room and I was just doing a quick test in VR, and they're like, yeah, you know, I will just keep that there because I don't want to like move it out of my way all the time. But yeah, I kind of hope we get more details on this. I'm not sure if you can really like get more details on it in a way, but I don't think this was a fail from the VR side. I think it was a fail from the guy himself. But I don't know. I don't have the details, but that's what websites like. They like to point like, hey, look, VR, this and that.
What's your worst accident, guys? I'm really curious now. So like, Nathan, you said you tripped over a waste bin, did you?
I mean, I can see people trip over the cable. I mean, I've been there. I haven't never tripped in a way where I really like knocked my head on something or whatever. But I mean, there's a possibility it happens, and it depends on how experienced you are with VR too. But it's almost like how Mike brings it, or how the websites talk about it. It's almost like VR is not safe, or you know, it's like I'm not reading a manual and then just do the thing without even get prepared for it. It's kind of dumb. For me, it sounds kind of like a dumb thing that happened, or just a thing that's like, okay, there was like a cable on the floor, or whatever. Maybe your dog walked by, or you know.
I think it's one of those things that it was just unlucky. You know, you see it and hear it in the news so many times where, you know, maybe someone gets into a fight, they get punched once, they fall weird, they die. You know, it's just very, very tragic. And I think this is kind of one of those things that happened. Just very, very unfortunate. And the way he fell on the glass table, the way it shattered, the way it broke, it obviously severed some sort of
that's why I want to hear more about it.
And he bled out. So I'm sure we will hear more about it, because I think so many people are interested in how this happened. But it's just one of those things. Unfortunately, life can be cruel sometimes, and unfortunate events can happen. But what I would say is, you know, if you're new to VR, or even if you're a VR veteran, you know, just be aware of your surroundings. Like, look at me. Like, I'm in a loft right now, and I don't know if you can see it, but there is a staircase behind me. All right, there is a banister that comes up just above my waist. But, you know, it's something that I'm always conscious of, because, you know, my play space is on the edge of that. So if I just get a bit too crazy, I throw myself over that balcony, well, I'm going to know about it. So it's just
Mike. We all know about it.
You will all know about it, of course. I mean, but
like some people are playing on save in a way where they got a very small play space. Like my play space is next to a Christmas tree right now and also a glass display. So I mean, there could be a moment where I totally forget I'm like out of my boundaries, or that's why someone also said in the chat, like I moved my chaperone bounds from deaf to like beginner after this news. And yeah, I mean, I've been there too, where I turned the borders off. That was for recording.
You never really hurt yourself then, Nathy, because I have. I'm in a min spec, less than min spec room, and I have in selfie tennis smashed a bare bulb above my room, and the actual issue with these newer bulbs is that there's a cancer causing agent inside it, and so you're supposed to air your room out for a couple of days. Vacuum up, not even necessarily vacuum up. Otherwise, you can get mercury poisoning, which can result in a whole bunch of different nasty things. That was part one, and part two was Gorn, which is known for destroying monitors and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I've punched my mic how many times, and that shock mount is not friendly on your knuckles.
Like you hit your controller against something. You didn't hurt yourself.
Oh, I did. I fucking punched. I punched a staircase and nearly broke my fist. So I've got a kind of a funny tiered staircase in my place, and I went down onto it like that, like full force, trying to hit some guy in Gorn. And for the next 3 months, I felt like I had a fracture in my hand, but it healed up.
Yeah. So
I mean, in the end, like, let's say you broke your arm, then it was your own fault because you didn't like make your like play space smaller. Like right now, my play space is like everything is marked around the walls. So everything like the virtual space stops at my wall. So if I hit the wall, that's it. That's where it stops. Yeah. And like what is recommended is you put it like inside your room with like space between every wall. Like the way you can test it is by reaching out your arm and then see what happens if you like would swing it and then just move a little bit back and then put the border there, because like you can be in Gorn and you're like that, or like even so there's like a really like small space you need to create for yourself and then stay out of there, and then just like play it there.
So here is a pro tip from me. So on the floor I've got some matting, and you could do this with a rug or any sort of material, but what I do is play without shoes on and then have something under your feet so you know when you reach the borders of your boundary. So whether it be a rug or a carpet or a foam sort of pads that I use, so you know when your feet reach the end of that boundary, you're going to hit something. And that's a good way of doing it, because then you don't have to worry about a chaperone system as such. You can actually feel it when you're going to get off your boundary or not. And that's the way I do it. So
how do you feel when you hit your boundary edge? Because I first was using boundary foam when we were there at OC4, and to me it felt like falling off a cliff.
So I never actually reached the boundary, because the thing is, like, for the last year, right, I've been in the basement and it's been such a small play space, and now I'm in the loft. I'm still in my mindset, like I don't move around that much. Obviously I've got to be conscious of my recording as well. So I'm kind of like attuned to where my position is. And I don't tend to hit the edges of my boundaries. And to be fair, since I've been up here, I've not actually punched the wall once, which is something I used to do downstairs all the time.
You are kind of living on the edge. When I look behind you, you got like a staircase or something.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like, let's say if you run real fast.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but I'm aware of that all the time. And like,
this is great.
I'm not tell you to do that, but
but
that's the thing. Like, I think that everyone pretty much has a risk of doing something stupid, but I mean, like, if you are that's what I said. Like, if you are experienced as a VR player, and then that kind of stuff doesn't really happen that much. But let's say if you are new, if I put someone in here in VR and I'm not there, and they will just walk out of the borders. Like, I've seen it happen, where people are like, okay, bye, there I go, so people can just walk into everything. And that's what I also saw in the chat. In the end, the table killed the guy, not VR. Maybe there was a fail in the system with boundaries. You don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Like, we need more info on that.
Yeah, you're right. And like, that's the thing. Like, I'll just to wrap this one up. We've seen so many videos online of like VR fails where people have fallen over and tripped over and stuff. But it's just the fact that a glass table was right there when he fell. He fell into a glass table. Like, if you have a glass table around, then move it.
But like, please take the
necessary precautions.
They do serious, if you So yeah.
The one thing to mention here, just before we move, Mike, is kids have a different reaction to VR than adults. So if you put a VR headset on a kid, and I heard this from a friend of mine, kid was in rec room or something and thought that there was a shelf he could lean on and just face planted with the device on his head. If you are going to be testing the waters with kids because it's Christmas or whatever, irrespective of the age of the child, just be conscientious and again, second step here, make sure your area is clear. But I think it comes down to what Nathan said originally. A lot of this is going to be user centric. You have to decide as a VR user whether or not you're going to teeter on the border of that, again, like I do, min spec room, or if you're going to clear enough space. If you don't have room in your place for it, just like back with the Kinect. If anyone else used Kinect needed quite a bit of space, and you could kind of fudge it a little bit. You could actually get a little slider over it that lens, made it work in a smaller space, but you have to decide, take the risk or don't.
I think the most important thing, because like in America, that's a big thing, where people like to sue a company for something that happened to them. I would say and I saw this in the gallery too, they got like a disclaimer. So after you accepted it, it says something about, hey, if you kick your grandma in the face or whatever, then it's your responsibility, blah, 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 blah. So if people because right now, I don't think you get a real serious disclaimer you need to watch or play and then accept it. It's more like, hey, okay, done. But if every game has that, or at least Oculus or Vive themselves then from their side, nothing can really happen.
It is actually in their terms and conditions. It is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. When you set up.
Yeah.
And I think you guys would be the same as me. You have to suppress that setting. You have to go in and actually say, don't show me this health message every time I launch, right?
Yeah. So that is some tragic news, obviously, from the VR industry this week. But obviously, from that, moving on to this is going to be Ark Park. Unfortunately, this has been delayed. It was one of those titles that we're pretty excited about. It actually featured on my most anticipated games of this year, but it's not going to make this year, unfortunately. It's made by a developer called Snail Games, and they've delayed the launch until spring 2018. So the game's going to be released for PSVR, Oculus Rift, and HTC Vive. And they recently tweeted on their Twitter page, Ark Park is still in development and will be postponed to spring 2018. We are truly sorry for any disappointment this delay might cause. Ark Park is coming. We just need a bit more time. And at the meantime, we'll keep you updated with any progress. So it's a bit of a shame, but essentially for those of you that aren't aware or know of Ark Park, it is essentially Jurassic Park in VR, where you can go to a big environment where there's lots of different dinosaurs from the Ark universe. And the game is going to kind of focus on exploration. You can go on excursions and collect fragments of dinosaur DNA, which then you can be, you can use that to unlock crafting blueprints and further maps and environments. So it's kind of like an exploration game. And
that's not completely true, by the way. So Ark Park is the second game in the Ark franchise. So you had Ark Survival Evolved. This was a survival game where you had to build your own house, also get dinosaurs. You were pretty much collecting dinosaurs, and riding them, stuff like that.
This is a 2D game, right? This is the standard game.
That's the 2D game. It also had a VR mode, very basic.
Right.
Yeah, very basic. I want to say very nice, but no, it's not that nice. And the game wasn't even running that well as far as I know. It's a very intense game for your PC. So now they decided to bring a new game to the public, a VR one, that is only VR. This is not the same as the 2D game, by the way, and it's also not made by the same developer who actually came up with the whole Ark idea.
Thank God. That is so contended, though, Nathan. I mean, did you try? I don't remember if you did. I have. I've spent probably 8 hours in Ark in VR.
In the VR mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It was I think that the VR mode they made for back then was okay, but the performance of the game made it just really horrible to play. And maybe the whole thing where your arms were floating in front of you, kind of. But I mean, you need to know that back then you didn't have that many games to play, and a big game like Ark I know a lot of people that spend hours upon hours in the game playing it in VR, you know. So I get your point. It was very basic, but for the times back then, it was pretty decent.
So you played it?
Yeah.
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 Because I thought it was trash, to be honest. I mean,
like
the experience was good.
Was so bad.
Right? Like seeing a Brachiosaurus in person was astounding. Being chased down by a saber-tooth, again, an amazing experience and terrifying. This looks decent, like the visuals of that. Even the logo isn't quite rasterized right in their video, but I'm a little nervous and apprehensive about it because the other devs have cut and run 2 or 3 projects now and left basically
so
this scattered. I'm not.
You're not talking about Snail Games.
I'm not talking about Snail Games, which is why I said that I'm very glad at that news. I hope they take the franchise and do it justice. What we see in the video, I'm a little bit apprehensive about is the kind of these bubbles you're seeing, the way you travel. Like, what are the locomotion capabilities going to be? How immersed can you actually get? How much of that stuff can you get rid of to just disappear? Because if you can do that at the visuals and fidelity that we saw in the 2D edition, that's going to be a very impressive game. It'll be Jurassic Park in VR or better. You know, riding on the back of your. I can't remember what's bigger than a T-Rex, but there's a few dinosaurs out there that are really good.
Like coming back to that, that's the thing I wanted to say is that the trailer, this is like the trailer we show right now, was the first trailer they announced. Yeah. The second one is actually one that shows more of the shooting part, where it's really about, wave-based stuff. So I don't hope this is going to be a point-to-point adventure where we first have some tiny exploration going on, and then suddenly we only shoot some dinosaurs and that's it, you know. Because the second trailer is all about like mayhem, shooting dinosaurs, and that's a shame. I mean, I don't want to shoot the dinosaurs. I want to learn them stuff. I want to do tricks with them, things like that, you know. So having like the whole wave-based thing going on doesn't really do it for me. I'm like, why did this even have to? Because it needs to be action-packed. Does it need to sell? Does it sell better? And it does, of course. But, you know, it was kind of like a deal breaker for me in the second trailer.
Yeah, so you're right.
Part of it too.
It's got like a solo play or an online multiplayer game. The online multiplayer game is called Battle Mode. But obviously with the single player game, you know, it's got some puzzles that you need to solve, and you can collect and incubate eggs to basically hatch your own little dinosaur, which then you can eventually, like you say, you could raise it up and eventually ride it. And, you know, obviously a childhood dream of mine has always been to ride on the back of a velociraptor. So maybe that'll be kind of interesting. But, you know, the multiplayer, like you say, is kind of just like shooter. You have to defend your base from rampaging dinosaurs with weapons that you forge yourself during your exploration in the park. So,
I just don't hope it's going to be very scripted where, you know, you have an egg and then just an animation happens how it hatches and you didn't really have to do much for it, you know? Yeah. Where it's kind of like going back to Tamagotchi or something where it's very basic what you do. You know, as Zim said, like if you get that like LA Noire thing where you go from one scene to another and it doesn't feel like you actually have to travel through the forest. Like we want to have that Jurassic Park feeling where I'm sitting in a car, those doors open, I go into the center and you know, you can interact with some people, and after that, you just drive to the next location. You want to drive the parts too. I think that's very important. You want to travel to those locations. I mean, of course, we're not going to like travel long lengths in the game. I think like most of it is going to happen through like. But I feel like it's kind of scripted, this game. I don't know. I don't feel like it's very like open where, you know, you can maybe like get some info at some parts and you can really decide to go a different direction. It's kind of like Robinson the Journey, you know, where you got like a hidden area you can check out. But in the end, it's like pretty point to point.
Yeah, like the Island 359, you know, did it fairly well in that you could just walk freely around, right? And then just discover dinosaurs. But again, you know, with that game, you know, you was just shooting and killing the dinosaurs, and I kind of felt quite bad for them because you're like, why am I just going around murdering dinosaurs for no reason? And the tiny ones, they were so cute, and they made like the cutest little noise. It was like, now I'm just going to knife you in the face. So it was kind of weird, and I didn't really enjoy the island. But I'm hoping that maybe this has potential. But we shall see when it comes up in spring 2018.
I mean, a good dinosaur game is welcome. I agree, and with a story like attached to it is nice. I just hope there's like some more to it, where it's not like you know, like with scripted scenes, it's just like it doesn't feel like you have to do anything yourself. You know, like if I need to hold a button at the egg and it just hatches with a buffer like icon, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I want to see some gameplay. I mean, the trailers we have seen look very nice. I want to see gameplay.
It's actually a good question here, Nathan. What would make the dinosaur game for you? So you're saying interactivity, that kind of.
I need to work for what I do, like progression wise. I need to work for it, you know, and I want to feel like satisfied for what I did. If I only have to hold my controller at that spot, and you know, like same with Robinson, you needed to scan like the animal, then you had to go back to your base to do that. Then you had to collect the fruit because one dino was hungry, and then you could you were spending around like 20-30 minutes on one quest to do something. You know, you're not going to grow a dinosaur in an hour. If they, let's say they say to you like, okay, this is an egg, you need to take care of it every day. You need to go back into your game, warm it up, whatever, go sit on it for like a day, and do things like that. You know what I mean? So you need to come back, and if you, of course, they are going to like speed it up. They're going to speed up the progress. I just hope it's going to be a bit more like, you know, you can do things with your hands. Stuff like that. I just see so many games that just don't make use of your hands that much anymore, where you can point at stuff or you need to poke something.
Really important. That's a really important facet, isn't it? I mean, the controls like make or break a lot of the
especially for the Rift. I mean, that's what I noticed when the Rift just came out. You had the touch controllers, and we're like, wow, you can feel things and you can press things. Nowadays, I don't see many games that actually have those hand things where you can do this or you can press things. Like First Contact was the first one that did it, but like in Ark, for example, I just want to like really have that physics-based stuff going on in the game.
Well, there's two dino games that I'd want in the end of the day. Like I want a dino game, like kind of what we've talked about, kind of like what you wanted Robinson: The Journey to be. What this you want to be is like an open world dino exploration game where you can you know, come face to face with this stuff and really lose yourself in it. And again, Ark had this kind of whole build a fort, you know, play with people, work on a community type thing. It was actually quite difficult. So if they can imbue that into this game, then absolutely I'll play it. The second game that I want, and I think the IP is out there, I don't know if they're VRifying it yet, is essentially Jurassic Park run, and I mean in first person, run a Jurassic Park type place, and then have, you know, shit break loose. Like I really want to see that. Like it goes from being like Happy Town to like horror. You know what I mean? Like I want to have raptors coming after me in a bunch of ferns. I just need to have that experience. Clever girl.
So like
you want them to hunt you like from like in a pair, like they do. Clever girl.
Clever girl.
So going to the chat, I see someone that says it should have dinosaur riding. I'm sure that's possible.
I think that is possible. Yeah.
Good physics would be nice too. I think that's very important. I haven't seen many games that really like dive deeper into the physics. Let's say if you touch a dinosaur in the skin and it kind of like pushes back in a way as well, like you saw with the blue, with the jellyfish that you can kind of push. It's very magical. So having some more physics would be nice. I also see one here that says the trailer looks good there. Dinosaur models look top notch. And someone also said it's really maybe about the visuals in this one and maybe the thrill that a dinosaur comes closer to you. And yeah, if it's a scripted ride and it really catches that like cool like scene stuff, then it's nice. I think it's going to be a true adventure. Like let's say you drive a car and there's like a dino running next to you and there's one coming out of the like bushes. That's cool. I think that's a good start. But in the end, what Sim said, we want to have an open world where dinosaurs react by themselves and they are not on rails with their like little tiny T-Rex paws.
Or smiling at a little girl in the trailer. Oh, hello, Mr. T-Rex.
Because I would say right now, the best dinosaur experience is from the Dream Deck. You know, when you get the Tyrannosaurus Rex come down, like it's actually when you first see it, like for the first time, it is actually really, really impressive. You know, and we haven't had anything like that again. So maybe
it's been a while ago. I got eaten by a T-Rex. Like back in the DK1 and DK2 days, developers weren't afraid to get you scared, and like getting eaten by a creature is freaking terrifying. I hate it. It's not funny. But yeah, that's about it. I think that Ark, like it's still a question why they delayed it. I don't hope it's because of reasons that they're like, oh no, like we really need to change up the whole thing. and they do it at last moment where the whole game changes not in its favor. But we'll see. You know, that's some info we don't have. But I think they played on safe, and that's good. If they tried to create like a new Ark survival game with VR, I don't think that this was like the right moment. So having this point-to-point thing going on, okay, cool.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay, nice one. So I just wanted to ask you guys, as it is Christmas after all, what do you guys think would be the best VR Christmas present? Not in terms of headset, but like, you know, whether it be a game or a big accessory, or, you know, if you already own a headset, what would it be?
Well, maybe VR related, you mean, or just a Christmas present in general?
VR related, obviously. You know, is there any? And also throw that out to the chat as well to see if they've got any nice suggestions.
A wheel. I think a wheel is probably
like a racing wheel.
A proper racing wheel, because it's relatively expensive, like 160 quid, let's say in the UK for a decent one. And the experiences that you can have in games like, you know, Euro Truck or Dirt or Assetto Corsa, like if you're at all a fan of that stuff, or even if you're just willing to try it, that can be a super immersive thing that you can just lose hours in. So for me, that would be it, because it's kind of got enough. The only other thing that I could say is a butt kicker, any kind of tactile transducer, like, you know, give someone a sub pack for Christmas, and that'll bloody do it. You know, like these things are just so fucking cool, and they really enhance the experience. So I'm gonna change my answer. I'm gonna say sub pack, because you can do music and you can do basically every game with it.
I have to say, like, I tried a steering wheel for a short amount of time. I'm not a massive racer anyway, but from some of the races that I did try, I think I tried Dirt. Really made me feel motion sick, actually.
Really?
I don't know if you experienced that? Yeah.
Never. No.
I think it was in the early days. You know, I was fairly new to it still. But
are you saying the difference between, like, you've played it with gamepad, and then you played it with a force feedback wheel, and you found the wheel made you sick?
No. I didn't play it with a joypad. I just went straight for the wheel, and that was my first experience.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. You can, especially if you play Dirt. Dirt will jostle you around a fair bit. You know,
it does.
You're in Wales and you're like bumping up and down on stuff. So yeah, maybe not perfect for a first time.
Yeah.
I think that for new people out there, like, yeah, I mean, Christmas present, like, if let's say I'm a mom and my son has like a VR headset, I have no idea what to buy next to that. So that's kind of like the thing here. If you buy yourself a Christmas present, it's a little easier, of course.
Yeah.
In that case, I would say, I mean, if you're kind of new to VR, or you got your headset for like 6 months now, I would say, you know, invest into, maybe if you got a Vive, a deluxe audio strap. Or like protection covers for your controllers. And with the Rift, it's the same story, you know, buy like those VR covers that you can like click in. Or buy yourself a Leap Motion, or just small things, you know, like little upgradable things.
Is it Leap Motion?
A TP cast, that's kind of like expensive as a gift, but just those small little gadgets that might be interesting to try out and could make your experience a lot better, or make your view on VR a little wider. That's what I would say. And they're not that well pricey.
Yeah, I would agree with the you know, VR cover. They make some nice stuff. You know, it's relatively cheap. You know, but it also increases the amount of comfort for me specifically, and also you know, it's easier to clean after a period of time, and especially if you're demoing it to friends and family, you can swap the pads over with the Velcro. So it's a nice upgrade, I would say, if you're looking for a present for someone that owns a Rift or a Vive.
No, I totally agree. And PC stuff is also not bad. You know, GPUs, CPUs, it's all welcome. Like, it depends. Like, if you give yourself a present, it's very easy, but your mom is not gonna buy you a GPU, man. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I want an NVIDIA Volta. You know, otherwise you're gonna ruin Christmas.
Also, someone said a third sensor. I think that's a good one.
That's a really good answer.
Could be also very useful. So yeah, a Steam credit card, also very good.
That's new this year, actually, Nathan, right? So you can actually buy Steam gift cards now, which was not the case in past Christmases.
For a while, but yeah, it's nice to have like your wallet filled up with some monies.
Yeah, it's only last 2 months though.
Someone also says Fallout 4 with a Titan X. Yeah, maybe then the game is gonna run nicely, but yeah. So yeah, I think that are some very good presents indeed.
Okay. So also, I was going to throw it out to the chat. Like, have you guys got any questions for us before we wrap this week's show up? Like, this week was a bit tight for news, obviously being the Christmas period. Everything seems to slow down a little bit. Yeah. So we didn't have much for you this week, but hopefully you've enjoyed the show anyway. But if you've got any questions, I'd be intrigued to know. Maybe we can give you some nice answers.
Yeah. It's funny. Dogbox says, watching your stream using OVR drop. It's like an in-game little screen you can use, and he's watching it while playing a game right now. So that's very cool.
Next level.
Yes.
VR Inception.
Yeah. But I think the racing wheel is a good add-on, especially if you are into that or curious about it in a way. I think that could really add up to the experience. So and it doesn't need to be like a racing game. It could also be something totally else. I mean, I've seen some people play CSGO with a racing wheel.
Well, that is next level. That is next level thing. I've got a question for Zim, actually, because I don't know if you plan to do this or not, or whether this is on your Christmas agenda, but you mentioned Desert Bus.
It is. Oh, very good question, dude.
Are you going to use the steering wheel for this?
You can't. It's not supported. You have to use the thing I think about is, right, it supports motion controls. Holding these guys up on a steering wheel position for 8 hours, I don't think that's going to be possible. So I'd probably be gamepadding it. But I'm going to start with motion controls. The issue I hear is, right, you crash, you reset. So Tuesday, which is the 26th.
No way.
Yeah. So it's an 8-hour drive, right? You're driving from, forgive me, it's like Arizona to New Zealand or something. I don't know. Anyway. But you're doing an 8-hour bus drive, straight road. Basically nothing happens. It's multiplayer, and I've got a list of content creators and that who are going to be hopping in with me on the bus. So we're going to be doing this. It's not for charity or anything. This is literally just a challenge to see if I can last 8 hours, not crash the bus, and actually make it. So it's going to be early morning on Tuesday. We start. It's going to go the whole day. So even those in North America should be able to tune in and catch it on Twitch. So this is going to be fun. If you guys want to hop in, by all means, we've got slots. And if anyone else wants to, then just drop me a tweet.
This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. So just if you weren't aware and you didn't watch last week's show, Desert Bus, like you said, Zim, is like an 8-hour driving simulator that you're going to do in VR. And people can watch it live on your Twitch stream, right?
That's right. Yeah, we're doing next. So just to give a little bit of a plug here, we're doing a VR Mega Stream Week. So we've actually got a long schedule of, heavy hours for 7 days in a row. So we're doing all the big titles. We're doing Orbis and Fallout and From Other Suns, who I need a slot for actually, and a few other bits. So Desert Bus is kind of in the middle of the week, just after Christmas. And so we'll see if I make it. And you'll know next time, this time next week, whether or not Zim crashed or made it to the end.
Yeah. No, I do tip my hat to you, dude. Like, investing that much time into something like that is just so crazy. But it's
gonna be a good experience though, right? Yeah, it's gonna be a good experience because I get to meet some people, some of the other tubers and that who I've never met before, and we get to have a chat on a bus. So
I'm
should be good.
Gonna try and catch the stream where I can, definitely over the Christmas period. In between my Christmas dinner, I'll be watching you, mate, on a bus. So have we got any more questions from the chat? Otherwise, I'll wrap this week's show up.
Yeah, so someone wants us to join VR chat again. I'm not sure when we will be in there, but if you add us as a friend when you are in VR chat, it's easier to track us down. Yeah. Just
on that, Nathan, next Saturday, if you guys are free, I've got it slotted. I'll be heading back into VR chat after the podcast next week. So
I got some crazy parties going on this Christmas. But we'll see. Also, really short, just one word or 2 words. It depends on what the title is all about. So, what was the most impressive, graphics-wise, game for you guys? Just game.
Good question.
Graphics-wise, Lone Echo.
Lone Echo. Okay.
I'm gonna say Resident Evil because the visceral feedback.
Only the title. That's it. You're cheating. You're not allowed to explain why.
Okay.
So Resident Evil, but people will know why. I'm sure. For myself, I don't really know, to be honest. But Lone Echo is, I think that's.
And if I was going to choose a second one.
Oh!
No, you're not allowed to.
We're not allowed to explain, Mike. I missed that.
Sorry, no, we got a quick chat round here.
Okay.
Let's see.
Quick chat. Go.
Let's see. I got some more. Driving bus concept was created by Penn and Teller. They said it was giving you the feeling of traveling. Lol. Okay, that's an interesting fact right there.
I don't think that's true. I heard it was different. The origination point was actually, it was meant to prove that a game without like proper game elements would just be a boring, dull ride. And then there was a group, I don't know exactly which, picked it up for charity, did it on, has been doing it repeatedly now with the old 2D version. They VRified it this year, put it out, and I haven't seen too many people play it, but it's a bit of a trek.
Yeah, so we also got Tech Asura saying Arbus is definitely my jam. Fun game. If you haven't checked it out yet, Google it and explore.
It's an MMO.
Kevin says, I read if you achieve the drive, you get a single point and unlock the ability to drive back the other way.
Correct.
Will you be doing the return trip as well?
And there's achievements. There's literally an achievement for putting 240 hours into the game. And that's not even the toughest achievement. There are some nasty achievements in that game. But I'm not doing that. I'm not doing the 16. I could have chose to do it. I'm not wasting that much time, I'm afraid. But I'll do the 8. I'll try the 8.
That is crazy.
Last but not least, someone missed the part where we were talking about the Magic Leap 1 AR headset. Don't worry, if you missed the part of the stream, you can watch it back on Mike, his channel, because he will be uploading the whole stream too.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
That's the chat.
Okay, nice one. So I'll wrap this week's show up. Obviously, just to remind you guys, it is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show. It's live streamed every Saturday on Nathy's YouTube channel. Tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in UK, 9 a.m. in Central US. Also, check out the audio-only version of the show, which is available on iTunes or Google Play Music. And then, like Nathy just said, I upload the whole video to my channel tomorrow. So if you missed the video, you can rewatch the whole show back with our lovely faces.
Yes.
And yeah, we shall see you next week. Obviously, it'll be coming out to New Year. I hope you guys have an amazing Christmas. Spend it with your friends and family, but make sure you're safe in VR, like we said earlier. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
See you later.
Take care.
Ciao.
Bye.